Editing allows for a range of cinematic techniques which we've become accustomed to, such as seeing scenes from different angles without repetition. Yet some directors disregard this. Andrei Tarkovsky refused to use editing as a way to persuade effects. Rather, he thought cinema should persuade memories, unavoidably subjective, and it should activate the spectator, making cinema a form of art instead of entertainment. The relationship between subjectivity and time is important, and Tarkovsky is most famous for poetic films of very slow pace, forcing the spectator's awareness of time passing. Inspired by this, I wondered how subjectivity is represented in a long take and looked at one-shot films. With the quote, "The typical long take is subjective" by Pasolini and Derek Parfit's text on the psychological criterion for identity, I will argue how one-shot films create types of psychological subjectivities with 1917 in focus. 1917 is a cinematic representation of continuity of memory. Its one-shot sequence illustrates the protagonist's creation of memory. 1917 maintains perspectival subjectivity, when framing is limited to the information available to the central character. For example, when Schofield and Blake walk through the trenches. The continuous take implies a chain of overlapping memories to the spectator as well as the protagonist, especially as the shot is abruptly cut with a blackout when Schofield is knocked out 66 minutes into the film. Following is a sequence where, for the first time, the illusion of continuous real-time direct experiences are broken. It still maintains continuity of memory. It is a representation of the concussed mind's direct experience. The spectator identifies with the camera that has perspectival subjectivity of one character throughout one take. In Birdman, the one shot is used to enhance mental subjectivity through unnatural camera movement and the protagonist Regan's hallucinations, instead of the representation of memories in 1917 via slow camera movement. The constant flow of actions and fast camera movements becomes strenuous to the spectator, causing an active spectatorship linked to Regan's psyche rather than his perceptual direct experiences. This is a representation of psychological continuity with a strong connectedness with the mental state rather than pure memory. Mirror by Tarkovsky is a point of view inside the mind of the protagonist. Though not a one-shot, it creates mental subjectivity through the shots being made of both real-time events, memories and dreams, interchanging and merging them throughout the film. Tarkovsky's usage of long takes emphasizes a continuity of action similar to that achieved in 1917, but events are edited together, forming a psychological web lacking direct chronology, as opposed to Birdman and 1917. Thus, in Mirror, editing allows for cinematic representation of psychological connectedness instead of continuity. Changing focal length in one shot means using zoom, which can be distorting. In 1917, we are met with a constant focal length, providing a stable experience of the shot that strengthens the effect of the spectator staying in action with the events on screen. In Russian Ark, on the other hand, zoom is avidly used, covered with a blurred lens, distorting the framing and supporting a distancing to the events, which is justified as the protagonist is a ghost. The POV one-shot identifies with the voice of a protagonist, and thus we become the character. This represents psychological continuity like Birdman, but through POV. In essence, the one-shot film combines the elements of psychology in its aspects of direct experience and overlapping memory through activating the spectator's awareness of identifying with the camera due to its uninterrupted action. How would 1917 look like if the aim was to create the mental subjectivity?